In darkness, we hear different voices talking to each other, but they're all from the same voice. We see an airplane in the clouds and then pull back to reveal we're in another airplane with Michael Stone looking out the window. He is flying into Cincinnati and reads a letter from a former girlfriend. A vision of her appears over the text, yelling the angry letter at him. The plane lands, and the man seated next to Michael apologizes for grabbing his hand during the descent. It was a reflex because he's a nervous flyer and used to having his wife with him. Michael says it's okay, but suggests that the man let go now.
I said it's okay. You can let go now, though.
Michael goes through the terminal, where all the people sound exactly the same as they talk. He goes outside and asks the cab driver to take him to the Fragoli Hotel downtown. The cab driver begins a conversation with Michael, asking if he's British. Michael says yes. The cab driver tells him he has an ear for accents. Michael says he's lived in the States for a long while. The driver laughs, saying he loves British phrases like "the States" and "shrimp on the Barbie," repeating again that he has an ear for accents. Michael asks if there's a toy store near the hotel, and the driver tells him there's one very close. He can't miss it. The driver then lists all the things Michael should do while he's in Cincinnati, including visiting the zoo, which has some rare endangered species. He's also adamant that Michael try the Cincinnati chili, which is nothing like the chili he's had in Los Angeles or London. Michael says he's only there for one day. The man keeps asking him to repeat that, so Michael says,
I'm just here for a day.
The cab driver responds with the same broken tone, telling him the zoo won't take too much time. It's not too big or small, it's zoo-sized. And the chili will only take about an hour. Michael gets to the Fragoli. As he walks to the reception desk, people begin whispering, "It's Michael Stone," over and over. The receptionist checks him into a smoking room with a king-sized bed. Michael asks for a quiet room, and the man types for a long while before saying it's been taken care of. A bellhop leads him to the elevator saying, "After you," and "Go ahead," even though Michael keeps entering and exiting before he can prompt him. They get to the room, and the bellhop points out random things like, "This is the bathroom," and gives advice like, "Don't forget your room key when you leave." He lingers, so Michael tips him. The bellhop reacts with surprise, as if he hadn't even thought of it. He gives Michael his card and says to call him if there's any trouble. Michael tosses the card, goes to the bathroom, takes an antidepressant pill, and urinates. He turns on the television, which plays a hotel channel explaining what to do in case of a fire. Feel the door for heat, then fill the bathtub with water. He looks down at the magazines by the phone. One is a local magazine encouraging visitors to try the chili. He tries to order room service, but there are dozens of buttons with pictures of food. He finally presses one, and the voice on the other end says, "Hello, Michael Stone. Would you like room service?" Michael orders a salad and an entree. The man asks if he wants alcohol, but Michael says he'll get something from the minibar. The voice repeats the order in elaborate detail, naming every item in each dish, and says it's 9:13 and will arrive in about 35 minutes, 9:48. Michael hangs up and calls his wife. She asks about his room, and he says it's nothing special but has a big bed. She says that's good for him, because of all the tossing and turning he does. He corrects her. It's thrashing, because of his sleep problems. She says she'll put their son on the phone, even though Michael insists not to. The son, also the same voice, says he's dressed as a pirate and asks if his dad will bring him a present. The conversation is short, and the boy says goodbye. Michael lights a cigarette and begins practicing his speech for the event the next day. He looks out the window and sees a man in a nearby office building watching porn and masturbating. The man notices Michael, forcing him to step behind the curtain. Michael goes into the hall to get ice. A couple is fighting nearby. He returns to his room, flips through channels, and lands on My Man Godfrey. He pours himself a drink from the minibar and opens the phone book, finding Bella Amorosi, he calls her. When Bella finally speaks, she sounds nothing like he remembered. He tells her it's Michael Stone. They haven't seen each other in 10 years. She corrects him. It's been 11. He says he's in town for a conference and staying at the Fragoli. She notes that it's an expensive hotel. They talk awkwardly. She mentions gaining weight and replacing a front tooth after falling on a cement bench. He says it doesn't matter and suggests meeting up. Michael goes down to the lounge and sees an attractive woman enter, but she meets someone else. Then another woman enters with a heavier friend who approaches him asking, "Michael?" It's Bella. They talk, but she's still bitter about him walking out on her 11 years ago. When he suggests going up to his room, she gets angry and leaves. The next day, Michael visits the toy store the cab driver mentioned, only to find it's an adult shop. There's a giant dildo on the counter. He awkwardly asks if they have something for his son who's into pirates. The clerk doesn't have suggestions. Behind him, there's a mechanized sex doll modeled after a Japanese woman, half flesh and half exposed framing with a moving mouth. The clerk says it's very popular in Japan. Back at the hotel, Michael takes a shower. First too hot, then too cold. While drying off, he hears a female voice in the hallway. He freaks out, rushing to put on his pants and running outside, but the hall is empty. He knocks on doors, asking attendants if they've seen a woman. One door opens to a voluptuous blonde who thinks he's someone else. She realizes who he is and says she's in town for his conference. Her friend Lisa comes out of the bathroom, and she's the woman he heard. Lisa gushes over him, holding a copy of his book, How May I Help You Help Them? She explains that she and her coworker Emily are customer service reps and that their company used his book, boosting productivity by 70%. She nervously tells him not to look at her because she's not wearing makeup. Despite her awkwardness, Michael is charmed. He tells her she has a beautiful voice. Shocked, she laughs it off, saying that must be why she does well in phone sales. He invites them both to have a drink. At the bar, they talk about junk food, accents, and awkward topics. Lisa even worries that saying Jews harp might offend Jews. She sings along badly to the music, but is so sincere it's endearing. She admits they splurged on the hotel even though she can't really afford it. Later, all three go up in the elevator tipsy. Lisa complains she didn't get to press the button, saying she loves pressing buttons and that it must be weird, being a button presser lover. When they reach their floor, Michael invites Lisa to his room. She's surprised, saying men usually go for Emily. He tells her he's more interested in her. Emily playfully encourages her to go, saying he's gorgeous. As Lisa walks away, she trips and falls flat on her face. Embarrassed, but true to her awkward, insecure nature, they go back to his room, and it takes 4 tries with the keycard until the light finally turns green instead of red. Lisa says it's really cute how Michael turned down his covers and put slippers on the floor. He points out this is turn-down service, and she admits to never having stayed at a fancy hotel before. Michael sits on the bed, and Lisa takes a seat across from him in the chair at the desk. She doesn't understand why he likes her because usually Emily gets all the attention when they go out. She hasn't dated anyone in 8 years, and the last guy was a man in his 60s who had a daughter older than her. He pursued her simply because he figured she wouldn't say no, and he was right. She tells him she's not very smart, didn't go to college, and didn't even graduate high school. When she read his book, she had to use a dictionary to look up all the words she didn't know. He likes that she read his book with a dictionary. He asks her more about herself, and she mentions liking music with her favorite being Cyndi Lauper. He asks her to sing something. She says she can't sing. He prompts her anyway. She nervously begins an a cappella version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. After hearing so many people with the same voice, Michael is touched hearing her sing. He begins to tear up, and she tells him it was beautiful but then interrupts by singing the male refrain. Girls, they wanna have fun. Girls, they wanna have fun. She tells him she relates to that song because she also just wants to walk in the sun. She asks him why that song made him cry, and he says he loves her voice so much. She brushes her hair back, accidentally revealing a large scar above her right eye that has always been hidden by a strand of hair. He asks how it happened, and she says she doesn't want to talk about it. He asks if he can kiss her there. She rambles on about how weird it is that he wants to kiss her there. He tells her he likes her and tries to relax her by asking about her day. They lay back on the bed, and he kisses her repeatedly on her face, while she tells him a long story about how Emily and she got up early in Ohio, drove to Starbucks, and got drinks. The drive would only take about 4 hours at 60 miles per hour, with bathroom breaks. They stayed mostly on the 71 because the hotel is right off the freeway. They played No Doubt in the car because Emily likes them. She brought a Sarah Brightman CD, which has a beautiful rendition of Girls Just Want to Have Fun in Italian. Michael asks her to sing a little, and she does. She explains she loves learning other languages, Italian, Japanese, but not German because it sounds angry. She wants to learn Portuguese and finds it fascinating that Brazil is the only country in South America where they speak Portuguese. All the while, he kisses her, takes off her shirt so she's just in her bra. She says she used to hate being different, but now she kinda likes it. It makes her unique, an anomaly, a word she learned from his book. He tells her she's Anomalisa. She likes that. He puts his hand on her skirt and she squirms. She says she's ticklish, but it's okay, he can touch her. She even moves his hand down there to show him. He then slides her panties off and performs oral sex on her. She stays silent. He asks why she's not reacting, if she doesn't like it. She says she does, but maybe he can be gentler. He is. When she's aroused, she asks him to come up there. They begin to have sex. He asks if she talks during sex. She says she doesn't know. It's been at least 8 years. He suggests she make moaning sounds. She does, and they have a short intercourse session. They go to sleep. Michael and Lisa are woken in the middle of the night by a call from the hotel manager, who tells Michael he needs to speak with him about a sensitive matter in private in the basement. Michael goes down and finds a small office with dozens of employees typing at computers. They tell him the hotel manager is waiting, and to go inside. Michael walks into a large warehouse-like room. The manager is at the far end, behind a desk. He says he had the option of a 3,000 square foot office upstairs or this massive one, so he chose the basement. Michael walks toward him, but the manager insists he use the golf cart parked by the door. Michael drives it around for a long while, finally driving it up a ramp. The manager sits at a desk in front of a framed picture of George W. Bush. Michael complains about being woken up, saying he has a speech to give. The manager says he knows that Michael's book increased the hotel's productivity by 90%. The manager says he was informed that Michael was having relations in his room that night. Michael asks if that's a crime. The manager laughs and says philandering is not uncommon in the hotel. He just says it can be anyone but Lisa. The manager suggests that if Michael wants to be with someone, it should be him. Michael is freaked out and tries to escape in the golf cart, but it falls down a pit. He runs back into the reception area, where all the receptionists are now ordinary-looking women. The manager tells Michael he can be with any of them, just not Lisa. One woman offers to let Michael be with her. Michael runs up to his room, screaming. The bottom half of his face falls off. He picks it up and puts it back on. He sees Lisa in the hall, runs back to his room, but she falls on her face. He finally gets the key card to work after 4 tries. In the room, he sees a billboard outside the window for the Cincinnati Zoo with the description, "It's zoo-sized." Michael wakes up. Lisa tells him he was thrashing in his sleep and even hit her in the face with his elbow, which she didn't mind. Michael apologizes, saying he's known for doing this. He asks if she wants him to order room service. She asks for scrambled eggs. At the table, they eat breakfast. Lisa asks what happens now. She knows he has a wife and son. He says he doesn't really, because they don't exist. Everyone is the same person except for her. He asks if Lisa would move to Los Angeles. She says yes. As they eat, Michael notices she scrapes her fork against her teeth. He tells her to stop. She apologizes, saying people always tell her she's a pig when she eats. She continues eating and suggests going to the zoo after his conference. Michael gets distracted by her obnoxiously chewing with her mouth open. He asks her to stop. She drones on about the zoo's endangered species, including polar bears, which aren't actually bears. As she talks, her voice begins to overlap with the others. By the end of the meal, her voice is entirely the same. Michael gives his speech at the conference, but is mentally absent. He rambles, having a psychotic breakdown, murmuring that he doesn't love her anymore, while giving tips from his book about customer service. This is ironic because he considers everyone to have the same voice and identity. He mocks the president for sending them to war, upsetting some of the crowd. He sweats, and the speech goes horribly. Lisa is mortified in the audience. Michael returns home to his wife, as does their son, who asks for a present. Michael gives him the Japanese automaton he got from the sex toy shop. The boy complains it's a doll for girls. His wife points out it looks like something is coming out of its mouth, and the son asks what it is. She says it's just a liquid. As they argue, dozens of people pop out of the living room for a surprise party. Michael asks who they all are. His wife tells him they're his friends. He says he doesn't know any of them. Everyone speaks in the same voice. Michael's psyche grows chaotic, until the only sound he can hear is the Japanese automaton singing in Japanese. Lisa rides in a car driven by Emily. She writes a letter to Michael, which we hear in voiceover. She says she really enjoyed the short experience they had together and understands it was temporary and is now over. She also says she looked up Anomalisa in her Japanese-American dictionary and found it means goddess of the sun, but she hurriedly notes she's not suggesting she is one. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye!